partners $5 million on each one of their balance sheets, but they've also got 8, 9, $10 million outside of that asset, outside of their business, because we spent the last 5 years planning accordingly. Well, now it's not the concentration concern it once was from a risk perspective, and that's the deal they want to do. And you never want it to happen, but you can underwrite this and say, okay, what happens if that note goes to zero? Let's take a look at the planning software. Okay, this plan runs perfectly fine if this goes to zero. We've done a good enough job planning other means to retire successful retirement. And that's not our goal. We don't want it to go to zero, but how worst case scenario, how does this look?
And something that just hit me when you were saying that, in the case of the bank lending 10 million, the bank's the investor. Now you're the investor. And I bet it changes attitudes when you're sitting there and you're approaching that day of the handover to say, have I built the team that can run this business? And I bet you it changes behavior to help you build a better team.
Absolutely. That is actually one of the main conversations we had with these guys is, okay, you want to do this. Are they all, if you're selling it to a management team, not only do they need to be able to pick up where you left off and work, they need to be able to work together and do it together. If there's not, if they're not going to be able to be working together on it, that, they're going to have their own prerogatives of what they want to accomplish. That is not, taking the business to whatever level, making sure you get paid on your, paid off. Um, so yeah, you get very intentional about, okay, I'm selling it to the management team. Who is the management team? Who are these guys? Are they going to be able to pick up where we left off and take it to the next level? The part of it isn't selling it to them to maintain status quo. You've taken it to high levels. They should have aspirations to take it to new heights, and the ability to execute on that. So you're exactly right. And I think that's just good business practice all the way around is if you're running your management team, like I might sell it to these guys one day, even if you do end up going a different route, you're going to get a way higher valuation on it because whoever you're selling it to understands, well, these owners have done a really good job and built a management team and, accountability flywheel and get everybody's on the same page. And, that business is worth more. So it's just good business practice all the way around.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, even if you are selling to private equity or someone else, they don't want a business that needs triage. They want a business that's like a machine that just runs.
Exactly right. The systems in place, there's processes in place, there's accountability, there's feedback, there's escalation to management when needed. They want the owner to be pretty much an absentee owner because whether you're stepping out of the role and maybe they're stepping into a chairman of the board role because you still want oversight for a period of time, and that's the legal side of it. That certainly you want to get buttoned up with a strong M&A attorney who knows what they're doing in the situation, because you should still have rights to financials, and they can't go loan a whole bunch of money from the business that gets in front of you in line that without you signing off on it, or they can't go make huge purchases that's going to change, what you think this business would be valued at without you signing off on it. So you still have a role, but it's not a day to day in the business role. Um, and that's part of that leadership team, getting them to the right spot.
Well, I mean, you see that in the enterprises. The one that comes to mind is, Tim Cook is stepping down from Apple. Well, he's not disappearing. He's going to be the chairman of the board. And they're bringing in John Turnus, who's been with the organization for years. They've been prepping him as one of the possible replacements, for Tim. But so you have the preparation for the successor, but then, you know, Tim's still hanging out as chairman of the board. So it sounds like the same thing. It's kind of a similar situation.
Exactly right. And think about it. If that's what Apple's doing, probably one of the most successful companies of the last 20 years, they're pretty well thought out. That's something that if you think you're going to move on, you should be thinking about as well. It's a long-term internal process to make sure the team's to the right level, but you still want to sit there, be a resource to them as well. That's an underappreciated part of it to some degree. It's yes, it's striking a balance between wanting to turn over the day-to-day operations, but also probably being leaned on as a resource on,